What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Pick Swap Media YouTube channel. My name is Barnard. The dust is beginning to settle from the NBA trade deadline. Teams kind of put their chips in the middle, seeing whether they're going for it, whether they're looking ahead to next year. And the most active team across the entire NBA was the Los Angeles Lakers, making some necessary changes to try and boost their chances for this year. So I'm ready to talk about it. Let's see. Did the Lakers answer their question and climb their way into the true contenders conversation? Let's get into it.
Check it out.
Step back, James Harden, right on target. Bang, bang, George Niang to Paul Reed from Tyrese Maxey.
Joel
All right, so to kick things off and look at the Lakers roster changes, coming in for the trade deadline, they brought in D'Angelo Russell, Mo Bamba, Roy Hachimura, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt, and Devon Reed. And out with that, they sent out Russell Westbrook, Thomas Bryant, Patrick Beverly, Juan Toscano-Anderson, Damian Jones, Kendrick Nunn, their 2027 first-round pick, and 3 second-round picks. The Lakers needed to swing for the fences, and they did. They had a pretty impressive deadline. That Russell Westbrook trade specifically, I think, was impressive to get off his contract without having to sacrifice so much. And that Westbrook trade is the most important move that they did make. Dave McMenamin of ESPN gave the quote that, quote, "You remove a vampire from the locker room," meaning that he was sucking up the blood. He was sucking up the intensity. He didn't fit in. And that can be seen both from a personality, from an on-court fit, because the match was never made to work. Russell Westbrook, while at one point he was a terrific player in his career, he was an MVP caliber player, an electric must-watch player on an every-night basis. He's not quite that guy anymore. And while some players have an easier time than others as far as transitioning from that superstar elite role into more of a complementary piece, Russ has kind of had an issue with it. He's a high-usage player, high volume. He needs his shots. He needs his touches. And it's tough when you're playing alongside guys like LeBron James and like Anthony Davis. Life is not that easy. I think he also, to his credit, has done a pretty good job when he made that transition to that 6-man role. I thought he did a nice job bringing some positive just intensity to the Lakers team and bringing something to that second unit. But it was clear that things weren't quite clicking in the way that I think was hoped or imagined when that roster was orchestrated and put together. So you hate to see it. Russell will be moving on. Will be interesting to see where he fully ends up next. There's been some talk of the Clippers, talks for the Heat, talks for the Bulls. So going to be bought out by the Jazz. I believe he might have already officially been bought out, but he hasn't decided on his next location yet. So it will be interesting to see where he ends up, how much he has left in the tank. He also, I think, is probably grateful for a new opportunity, a clean slate to start somewhere else. The second highest paid player in the NBA this year, making over $47 million. So that's another key reason why the Lakers had to move on, is so much tied up in that. He was an expiring contract due to be a free agent this offseason. Pretty certain that he wouldn't be back. And he just didn't fit with LeBron and AD, which is what the priority must be for this Lakers team, is finding a way to juice the most out of those two superstars. Russell was not a guy who did that. Beyond Russ, they pretty much just lost role players. I mean, just looking down this list, Patrick Beverly is a guy who I believe higher in than the general consensus. I do think he's a guy who impacts winning beyond what the numbers say, the intensity that he brings, the leadership that he brings. And sure, he can get on your nerves. He can do some stuff that might drive you crazy as far as, slapping the floor, talking trash, getting technical fouls, everything. But he does bring up the intensity. He knows how to win, and he knows how to win. And I don't think that can be questioned at this point. So he's a guy also being bought out. Will be interesting to see where he ends up. I'm sure he'll land on a contender somewhere and probably bring some minutes. He's also a guy who pretty much perennially starts the year relatively slow as a shooter and grows as the year goes on. So he started to flip that switch. There was a 2-week stretch not too long ago where he was shooting over 50% from three, really knocking things down for the Lakers. So I do think Pat Bev's going to land on his feet, do something fine. Elsewhere, Juan Toscano-Anderson is another guy I think contributes to winning, is a nice piece. Thomas Bryant requested that trade, wanted a bigger role since Anthony Davis returned, saw his minutes cut down a little. Wayne Gabriel also has stepped up into that backup role. The Lakers are going to be just fine rolling with him. Pretty similar players. There's even aspects of Gabriel that I think fit a little more. The last memory of Thomas Bryant will be him calling for the ball as LeBron James hits his NBA record most points in that fadeaway. You can see him posting up with Gilgeous-Alexander on him calling for that ball and wanting that. So that's about as Thomas Bryant as things go, and a nice way to remember him. But I guess my point in this being that the Lakers are not losing anything too significant as far as the future direction of their franchise, and they're going to be just fine moving on from it. Now, looking at what they brought in, we'll kick things off with D'Angelo Russell, who is no stranger to playing for the Lakers. Last played for them in a 2016-17 season, where he was traded along with Timothy Mozgov for Brook Lopez, the pick that turned into Kyle Kuzma, and a 2017 first-round pick. So D'Angelo Russell, after that kind of blow up there was the whole Nick Young phone situation. He was still a immature young player, and I think he will be better braced for Los Angeles in this go around. Looking at his numbers this year with the Timberwolves, he averaged 17.9 points, 6.2 assists, 3.1 rebounds, 1.1 steals, shooting 39.1% from three on 7 attempts beyond the arc, which is pretty good numbers. He's not the most efficient player. He's not the best winning brand of basketball guy in the world. He'll take some dumb shots. He'll have his heat checks, no doubt. But I do think he's a guy that fits better than Russell Westbrook does, which is the step in the right direction and the only thing the Lakers can truly ask for. So it will be nice to see him. He can play both on and off the ball. He can provide some secondary ball handling, some secondary playmaking, and is comfortable as a spot-up shooter, just having a low usage, sitting in the corner, and doing some damage when the ball does get swung his way. So a guy that can do a little bit of everything for them. D'Angelo is a nice piece that they're adding here. Next up, I want to talk about Malik Beasley, who is my favorite piece that the Lakers did bring back. The term gets thrown around a lot of a 3-and-D style of player, but few players fully fit that bill, and Malik Beasley is one of them. Looking at his stats on the year with the Jazz, averaged 13.4 points, 3.6 rebounds, 1.7 assists, and shot 35.9% on three-point attempts, while launching 8.6 per game. So high volume, high effectiveness. He leads the NBA in three-pointers off the bench this season, which is a great statistic and something the Lakers will benefit from in a major way. Made the most three-pointers off the bench and also set the record for the Timberwolves for most three-pointers made in the season last year. So cool stuff there. He's a good talent. He's a good piece. These are the styles of players that they should be looking, because kind of how roster construction has changed in the NBA is not necessarily just how much talent you can have, but it's how the pieces fit together. And Beasley's the guy who can kind of connect things, can fit between, can link two stars together. He'll fit alongside both LeBron and AD. He'll be a nice complementary piece. Low usage, high effectiveness. He can defend. He'll be a nice perimeter defender. He's got some good size. So Malik Beasley is a very exciting piece. He's one of those winning style players that was kind of lost on this Jazz team, and one of the reasons that they've been overperforming. And I hope that it works out for them, for the Lakers. So I think Malik Beasley is a terrific addition. And another guy who's kind of been lost on the Jazz and kind of doing his thing is Jared Vanderbilt, a guy that was a hot name in the trade market this year. A lot of teams showing interest and rumored to be looking to snag him. This year with the Jazz, he averaged 24.1 minutes, 8.3 points, 7.9 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 1.0 steal. He's a defensive nightmare. Very switchable. He's going to be able to play with or without Anthony Davis, which is key for their versatility in lineups. Hard-nosed defender, great rebounder. Somewhat limited offensively. He's not a great jump shooter, not a great perimeter shooter, but he cuts nice. He's a threat on the offensive glass. He competes on both sides of the floor. And he's going to kind of bring that energy to the Lakers. He's going to kind of replace some of what they lost. He's got a little bit of that Patrick Beverley kind of mentality. He's not as in your face or obnoxious about it, but he's still a guy who is willing to talk his trash, play hard nose, scrap with you defensively in a way that I think they need and is important. And he can run the floor. He's versatile. I like Jared Vanderbilt. I think this is another positive addition for the Lakers and another just like nice asset that they have, another option that they can roll out looking at their lineups. A guy that I think they can win with. He's still only 24 years old, so there's plenty of growth that he can do, and that's a positive addition. He can bring as a power forward, as a center, do a little bit of it all, brings that flexibility, a lot of cool stuff that they can do with him. So Jared Vanderbilt, another nice addition there. Next up, we have Mo Bamba, who is, of course, the player that did come over in that Pat Beverley trade. Mo Bamba, a guy that's another just nice, interesting piece they can add as a backup big. I think he brings great shot blocking potential. He's never going to be the hyped up prospect that it was once hoped, but he is a guy that I think is going to build a very successful year as a backup center, a guy that rotates around, even will be capable of starting in stretches when needed. with his stats with the Magic this year, playing just 17.0 minutes per game has seen his role shrink a decent bit with the Magic specifically this year. But he's seen some growth with his ability. His 3-point shooting specifically, he's shooting 39.8% from three this year on 2.7 attempts per game. That's impressive stuff. That's like 3-and-D role player type numbers. And you love to see that from a guy who also averages 1.0 blocks, 7.3 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 1.1 assists. So he's developed into a guy who can still space the floor, can still protect the rim. A really nice option, and a guy that I personally am a fan of. And I think the tides have turned to where he, once again, he's not going to be the starting caliber elite big man that it was kind of hoped coming out of college after he played that time at Texas and everything else, song coming out of everything that comes with Mo Bamba. But what he is going to be is a very nice NBA player for the rest of his career. He's got enough skills. He's got enough talent. He's real deal 7 feet tall, got a extremely long wingspan, makes him dangerous on the defensive end. So Mo Bamba, another nice look for this Lakers team, a guy that I think could even play alongside AD at stretches, definitely can play center and fill those backup minutes. The Lakers are pretty deep down low, and we're talking about guys like Mo Bamba, like Jared Vanderbilt, like Wenyen Gabriel, like Anthony Davis, even LeBron James able to drop down there if he wants to. So they're going to have some nice size to work with. Mo Bamba, another nice piece that they added here. He was not a key part of that Magic long-term future, so they kind of shipped him off to Lakers. Let's see if he can produce to winning, and let's see what he looks like on a true winning team, because he's been with Orlando his whole career. Let's see what that kind of looks like for him. I think things could change in a positive way. And the last guy that I want to bring up as a key piece is Rui Hachimura, who we've gotten a little bit of a look at in a Lakers uniform. This trade happened a little bit this wasn't a deadline deal. He's been with the Lakers for a couple games now. Looking at his stats from last year with the Wizards, averaged 13.0 points, 4.3 rebounds, 1.2 assists, shot 33.7% from three on 3 attempts per game. With the Lakers, he's seen his role grow a little bit. In just 9 games, he's averaging 11.8 points, 6.2 rebounds, shooting 34.8% from three. He's a nice kind of style of wing. They're giving him a little more freedom than he really had with Washington. And he's also playing less like a forward and more like a wing. He's able to create more on his own. There's been some cool growth with him. And he kind of teased that with Washington. This isn't straight up brand new to him. These are things that he did do in spurts, but it feels like the Lakers are just kind of giving him a little bit longer leash as far as what he wants to do on the court, what he can bring, and they're being benefit from him. I mean, we're seeing some real nice moments from the Gonzaga product. He's a guy who hasn't quite found his footing in the NBA yet, and I think he's taking some real nice strides in that direction. He's a big body, listed at 6'8", and he's a wide frame too. He's not like a skinny. We see a lot of these guys that are not quite filled out their frame. Rui Hachimura has some muscle to him, has some strength, and he's not afraid to use it. So another guy that I do think can benefit this team and a good option, Hachimura, I mean, we've seen him on the court with the Lakers already, so he's providing a nice secondary kind of creation, allowing him that ability to go get his own shot. So some nice pieces for the Lakers. And I guess the mindset that deserves praise and what they're doing is shifting from that collect as much talent as possible mindset to just looking at where these pieces of the puzzle fit together. And that's the steps forward in the direction that the Lakers did take. It's no longer let's collect these all-stars, let's collect these all-pros. They got some nice young talent that will be nice complementary pieces, be willing to play within the role, looking for superstars within the role, not just superstars on the court, and guys that are the best of the best of the best, looking for guys that are the best at what they do. That's the key for the Lakers, and that's kind of what they're embracing. So are the Lakers legit championship contenders? I can't sit there and say that. I mean, they're still 26-31 on the season, 13th in the West. However, with how tight the West is, they're just 5 games out of being the 4th seed. So if there is a hot stretch from this Los Angeles team, they can absolutely catapult into the real deal playoff conversation. They're plus 4,500 on the championship odds. That's the 12th best in the NBA. So 11 teams that Vegas believes has a better chance of pulling a title than the Lakers do. That sounds about right to me, to be honest. I still think the Lakers are a far way off. But when you have LeBron James, when you have Anthony Davis, you can't fully count out this team. I know it was in the bubble, but we've seen these teams hold the trophy before. LeBron still playing at an elite level. Impressive what he's doing at 38 years old and still kind of carrying this team the way he has. It's been frustrating this year, to be honest, to watch him to still be able to contribute to a winning way at his age, and it really just not being possible with the pieces that he has had around him. So now that kind of changes with these deals, with these guys in place. The Lakers have a fighting chance now, and they have the second half of the season, a little over 30 games to play to kind of put it together, see how everything fits. Also, Anthony Davis needs to stay healthy. He needs to solidify his role as kind of the future of this team. There's been just far too much of injuries. It's not the direct pass the torch from LeBron to Anthony Davis to lead this team in the way it's hoped. LeBron is still super high usage. I think when LeBron initially picked Los Angeles as his destination and picked Anthony Davis to team up with, the hope was that it was a pretty easy and seamless transition of LeBron being the guy to carry a team, to give that torch to Anthony Davis to be the guy that leads and carries the team while LeBron still impacts it in a high way, but maybe not as much strain on him. That isn't really how things have worked out. LeBron still very much has had to be the guy on a pretty much a nightly basis. And Anthony Davis, while he looked terrific to start this year before injuries, and he's shown some flashes, no doubt, it just hasn't been consistent enough to feel that confident about him in the long term and moving forward. So Anthony Davis, it's also on him to step up and prove that he can be that type of guy as this postseason run approaches. But the Lakers do have a fighting chance. They have some pieces around these stars. They have some guys. The West is wide open. The Phoenix Suns obviously made their all-in pitch, adding Kevin Durant. I mean, the Mavericks adding Kyrie Irving too. So there's some competition. The Nuggets have looked to be putting the pieces together here. There's no cakewalk. It's the NBA. These are the best players in the world. These are the best teams in the world. But I do like the Lakers' chances right now significantly more than I did flashback 2 weeks ago. So that is a credit to Rob Pelinka. That is a credit to LeBron, to this team. So we'll see how things shake out. It's going to be interesting. These guys are starting to make their debuts now. We've seen a little bit of them on the court. Jared Vanderbilt made his debut. Malik Beasley made his debut. Mo Bamba still hasn't quite stepped on the floor yet. So we will see what this team looks like as it is constructed now that all the pieces are coming together. But it is a hat tip to the Lakers front office for giving this team a fighting chance, and we're going to see what happens. I appreciate all you guys for watching. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe on this video. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think on where the Lakers stack up. What teams are better than them? Do they have a fighting chance? And I will talk with you next time.